Brightest blessings, everyone. I'm doing a video response to Rihanna of the Sea, and she did a video entitled Full Moon Traditions and a Little Dilemma. Okay. Basically, she was asking people some of the traditions that they have during the full moon. Do you celebrate all 3 nights of the moon, or do you just celebrate on the actual full moon? Um, I think it's best to celebrate all 3 nights of the moon because you're showing respect to all three aspects of the goddess, maiden, mother, and crone. Do I do this all the time? No. Uh, why? Because I don't live in a totally pagan household. It's just me and one other person. However, I am very respectful. I'm not going to have her stop me from doing any traditions. However, to have 3 nights in a row of me in the backyard acting like a nut sometimes might be a little too much for her. Sometimes she would never say, don't do that, because we wouldn't be together if that was the case. However, sometimes when they're staring at you like you're a little nutball, you can kind of feel it, and it kind of gets where you just don't want to do it. So I always at least celebrate on the night of the full moon. Um, but in general, I think it's always best to celebrate all 3 nights of the full moon. I always have at least on the night before and the night after, if nothing else, if not a full circle, some quiet introspection and prayer specifically for that night. So I am acknowledging it in one way, shape, or form. That and well, I'm just a lazy little Wiccan. You can ask anybody. However, and I remember you said when you were going to work and you saw that perfect moon out in the daytime between the building that you worked at and the building across the street, and you just wanted to reach up and draw down the moon. And you know, whether it was really that spectacular or not, when you get that inspired, that is the goddess contacting you and communicating with you. I've seen people with a lot less spectacular um, things just be totally drawn in. I've seen people with much more spectacular things than what you described, not even at all moved or affected. Someone was trying to communicate with you. Now, yeah, you could have thrown all abandon to the wind and just put your arms up in the goddess position and drew her down. But, that just wouldn't have flown in the middle of downtown, you know. Uh, but you could have crossed the street and stopped and stared. Nobody knows what you're staring at. Nobody knows what you're concentrating on. Nobody knows what you're thinking. You could have stopped and communicated, after you safely crossed the street. Um, Now, your little dilemma was that you don't know a lot of people, that you're just getting to know a lot of people there, and that you're starting to want to invite people over. But you got a lot of witchy stuff in your place, and you want to know if you should hide it or what. Well, first of all, these are your friends. Now, these people are obviously somewhat important to you. Um, if they don't know that you're Wiccan now, or a witch, they will. And if they're not that important in your life, then maybe you shouldn't really be inviting them over. That is your place, and that is your sanctuary. Um, Maybe you don't want to break it to them by, just shocking them with it. So maybe you can bring it up before you invite them over. Or, maybe you should just, you said in Germany over there, they don't really seem to care either way. It just doesn't affect them. Um, so I don't see the big deal in just inviting someone over and acting like it's not decorated any acting like it's decorated just as any other German apartment would be. If they've got questions like, oh, what is that broom? Or, oh, what are those candles? They're so beautiful. Then you can tell them. If you act ashamed of it, then basically you're saying that there's something to be ashamed of. Let me ask you, if you were a Christian and had angels and crosses and all that stuff in your apartment, would you be questioning at all whether you should be inviting them in or hiding the stuff? Not many Christians do. Even the most, uh, devoted people with pictures of Jesus Christ in every room. They don't. And, I know that we're not Christian, but would you really be asking that question if you were? And I don't think that I think if the answer would be no in that case, then why the fuck should we? Seriously, why the fuck should we? Why are we being driven into um, shame because we're not part of the mainstream? There's a lot more of us out there than what Christians try to lead us to believe. And even if you were the only one, so the fuck what? The point is that they exist because you do. Blessed be.